Welcome to another episode of the Lavonne Nichols Show. I'm so glad that you tuned in. I have a special treat for you tonight. And so you guys know I'm all about inspiring, dropping nuggets of wisdom. I want you to watch the show and get something special out of it. And I believe that my guests will not disappoint. But before I get started, I want to say a special shout out to Brother Marcus. He was supposed to be on our show, but guess what? He's going to be on another episode. We're going to keep him in our prayers. And Brother Marcus, you know we love you. And so without further ado, I want to introduce my guest, Lamont Sanders. He is a gospel artist, and I would say he's very, very phenomenal for many different reasons, and I believe he has a lot to share with you. His journey is powerful, so make sure you're buckling up tight. Get your notepad and pencil out because there's going to be a lot of information he's going to share with you that I believe is going to inspire you. Are you guys ready? I hope you're ready. Lamont, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm blessed to be here.
Awesome. And so we're going to get into your journey because there are so many things that I found out about you. I knew about your music and I knew you've been doing your thing, but there's some parts of your story that I did not know. So we're going to talk about your journey. And so tell me, how did you get into the gospel music industry?
Well, I was born into a Christian home and family, and my family is a singing family. So it's interesting. I didn't think that gospel music, well, I was actually correct. I didn't believe that gospel music could be a career. It was just how I was born and raised in church. So I actually went and sung R&B for numerous of years. And that's where, I made a living and paid my bills. And then someone told me that, hey, you can make some money here. They lied. But
Okay.
but it was a greater calling, and it was definitely way more fulfilling than singing, secular music.
Okay, so let's go dig a little deeper into as far as how you started in the secular arena and where that took you.
Well, interesting enough, I'm good friends with Wanye from Boys to Men.
Oh, okay.
And he introduced me to Kool and the Gang's Sons, and they had an R&B group at the time, and they was looking for a lead singer, and Wanye and I actually had a battle at the flagpole in high school, like it was a fight after school. Everybody was coming to see us battle, and vocal battle,
okay.
yeah, and it was interesting because I won.
Y'all catch that?
Yeah, I won, but I only won.
You might have to get Wanye to make sure that you won. You're not just,
Well, the only reason I believe the only reason I won, because Juan is a problem. He's a beast. The only reason I believe I won is because I went to the high school longer than he did.
Okay.
So people knew me more than they knew him. He was like the new kid on the block. And then 3 months later, Boys to Men came out. So it was before they came out.
Right.
So, but
is it a possibility you could have been a part of that group?
Nah, they had that locked down.
Okay.
So, but he was letting me know that there was another group.
Right.
He was like, listen, man, much respect to you. I introduced you to this guy who's looking for another lead singer.
Nice. Okay.
So that right there began my R&B journey. I didn't know anything about R&B, especially coming from a Christian home.
Yeah.
So that began the R&B journey for me, and I went on to get signed to Babyface and Andre Harrell. And
now I want to
pretty
slow
cool.
down a little bit because being a church kid, and not all the audience is from a church Christian background, but we're going to go in, and so if you guys hear me say amen, we might shout a little bit because this brother can go. But I want to talk about how was that being a church kid going into the secular. Was there any type of guilt or people like, no, you shouldn't be doing that at all?
Well, interesting enough, my father was a musician. My mother was a choir director. So music is just how I was raised. Right. When I brought the opportunity to my parents, my mother, she prayed. She's a praying woman. And my dad said, let's give it a try. Let's let them try it.
Okay.
It was interesting because there was things that I didn't see, obviously, being a PK kid.
Yeah.
Certain things I didn't get to see now I'm seeing. I'm like, wow,
You
this
were
is.
exposed to a whole lot.
When I say culture shock,
Yeah.
culture shock, yeah.
Okay. And so you jumped into this opportunity that it didn't necessarily fall in your lap because you worked for it.
Right.
And so that led you to be working with who?
Oh wow. We're talking, Babyface is one of the greatest. Vincent Herbert,
Okay.
Jermaine Dupri. I've worked with Sean Diddy.
Wow.
So like.
So is Babyface as smooth as he comes across, and is P. Diddy as like demanding as he comes
What
across?
you see is what you get.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I was told I got fired by P. Diddy. So
Really?
I put that on my resume as a compliment.
Yeah.
If you haven't worked in the music business if you haven't got fired by Diddy.
Right.
And it's weird because I just had a cold,
Right.
and I went to rehearsal one day, and he wanted me to hit the run, and I'm like, yo, I got a cold, it's not there. He's like, no, hit the run. I'm like, man, trust me. He's like, man, let me hear you do it.
Right.
And I didn't have no throat coat. That's the first time I learned about throat coat.
Right.
He told me about it.
That's serious.
I
yeah.
tried to hit a little run. And nothing came out.
Okay. And so you
So he was nice. He's like, woo, man, you need some throat coat, man, So we had rehearsal actually 2 days later. And the industry has this saying when they call you and say, we're taking another direction. That was my phone call.
but you tried it because he wanted you to do it. You didn't want to do it. And
Right,
You tried it.
right.
And he was like,
Right.
"Oh, Diddy is hard."
So he's hard.
He's hard, but
yeah.
I'm sure that was a rewarding experience for you. You grew a lot from that. So
Right.
wow. Okay, so then I told you guys he has a very vast background. So not many people can say they've worked with Babyface and Diddy and Vincent Herbert. Like
It's a blessing.
that's awesome. So where did that take you after you were fired? Then what was the next step for you?
Well, actually, the next step, I went on tour. I had toured a little bit. I don't know if you remember an artist named Sharissa, but she did a song with R. Kelly. So
Okay.
I actually was the R. Kelly understudy on the road, and I did that lead.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it was great. It was great. And actually, that was the transition. Being on a tour bus and hearing people scream and want encore and different things that things that I saw that it was just like, this is, so God had his moment
Right.
with
So
me.
what when you say this was, what was it, too much? What were you feeling when you were on tour and people are screaming, Lamont, you was killing it? Like, what were you feeling?
Well, our flesh, nothing good dwells in the flesh,
Right.
but the flesh felt right. However, one of the comments that Babyface made to me in the studio one day was, man, it's something about your voice. And when you hear that growing up as a child,
Yeah.
you know this, it's the anointing on your voice. But as you start to hear and see people scream for you in the secular world, to me, I felt as though I was prostituting God's gift. Even when they would say it, it wasn't a compliment. It was more like I was getting away with something. You know what I'm saying? And then every day he's looking at me like, I gave you that gift. You
Wow.
know? So it was like, yeah, this is deep.
So you're feeling this, and you're like, okay, God, what am I supposed to be doing with people screaming my name, and I want them to be screaming your name?
Well, that's exactly what he
Yeah.
said to me. It was on a tour bus going home one night, and the tour, and everybody on the bus was like, yo, the show is hot. And
Right.
it's like he sat right here, like you could see this seat. He sat right here and was just like, no one's calling my name, How does that feel hearing them call
Right.
your name,
Right.
So that right there was such a conviction, especially being born and raised in the church. And,
Yeah.
You try to ignore it, but it's just not,
So did you try to do inspirational, but not necessarily say the name of Christ? Did you ever try to do that kind of thing?
No, because a lot, my conviction was heavy. At that particular time, I started reading Proverbs on the tour bus. That was what I read, and
Right.
Proverbs started speaking to me. Meanwhile, the group I was signed with, we got offered a deal from Def Jam
Right.
for $100,000 each. So
Okay.
so now you're talking
And how old
$100,000.
were you at this time?
Oh man, I'm about 24.
That's big money. That's big money. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So the test came.
the test came,
and
and you said,
I said, nah, I'm good. I'm good.
said no.
I'm good. I'm good. And it's interesting, you know, I trust God even
Right.
still. You know, a lot of times I go back and I think about, you know, what if, or I could have got, and one guy in the group was like, listen, man, let's get this check, then the group can break up.
Right.
But I'm reading Proverbs where he said, I'd rather you be poor and honest than rich and dishonest. So it was perfect timing for me, because had I not read Proverbs,
you would have took that check and
Yeah,
then you would
man.
have said, you know, God, we'll talk about this in the green room, and you know, I'll repent and then
Right.
come back out here and get this money,
Right.
which a lot of people do, and is not to knock anyone
Not at
who
all.
is doing secular, because there are a lot of believers that are singing secular music and God is using them in their right, but there are some people that God is saying, no,
right.
I need you to sing for me.
Well, it's interesting because now that I've had this new album,
Yeah.
you'd be surprised. I don't think my album is for the church. It's I call it street gospel.
All right.
Yeah, so, you know, it's interesting that he took me through this evolution.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So,
So you have a few albums out and have done a few different, I've seen a few different things that you have done. So before, when you decided, okay, I'm going to sing gospel, was it more mainstream type gospel? And now you say this is more like street gospel? Is that why you say
I
that?
did try that. I
Okay.
did try mainstream gospel. I did an album with my family, with my aunts and uncles and cousins, and I did one with my brothers and sisters.
Okay.
And it just, that wasn't settling. It was, you know, it's like he was just trying to kind of make sure that I was on the basis of his word.
Right.
And now the sound that I have now kind of brings them both together. And it's interesting because I have a record on my album called Fit In. And honestly, I don't fit in. I don't fit in the gospel world. I don't fit in the R&B secular world. What he has put together is like,
The sound's all your own.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And I think there are a lot of artists out there, especially if you have a background in the church, but you know, have a love for all different types of music. God gives you, you know, a sound all your own. And so I have a special treat that's going to be happening while we are going to commercial and coming in and out. You will get a chance to hear his music and that street gospel that he's talking about. So I just want to, you guys, make sure you stay tuned, because we're going to be listening to this throughout the show. And so you decided to really, God, this is, you know, your music. What else that, well, we got to go to commercial. And so we're going to go to commercial for 2 minutes, and we're going to come back and finish his journey, hear some of his music, and talk about some of the other things that he will be doing in the future. Make sure you stay tuned.
Choosing Medicare coverage can be a very confusing and complicated process. Help is just a phone call away, 856-226-4800. As a licensed insurance agent, I'll assist you in making an informed and confident decision on a Medicare plan that meets your needs, lifestyle, and budget. Call me today for a free, no-obligation Medicare benefits consultation, 856-226-4800.
Boardwalks built for fun. Legendary rock and roll clubs.
This is how we do it. Hip and hop.
Casinos by the ocean.
Hip and hop.
Now that's New Jersey. 130 miles of beautiful beaches. Solid rock. And everything in between.
Look in the window.
Now that's New Jersey.
Burlington County College.
Is now Rowan College of Burlington County.
Still the same great faculty.
At a community college ranked top 50 in the nation.
Basically, we earn more and pay less.
RCBC students are accepted at Rowan University after graduation.
And get a bachelor's degree for around $30,000.
Online and Mount Laurel students get a 15% Rowan University tuition discount.
And have many scholarship opportunities.
So you earn more and pay even less.
Rowan College of Burlington County.
Your path to success.
They are the greatest fighting force the world has ever seen. But what does it take to strengthen our service members? What does it take to let them know that we stand behind them, wherever they are? What does it take to bridge the distance and keep them connected to family, home, and country? And what does it take to prepare them for their future when their service to the nation is complete? What does it take to strengthen our service members so they can be the greatest force for good in the world? It takes a force. Be a force behind the forces. Share a message today at force.uso.org.
I want to be a contender. I want a warm belly to sleep on.
A big house.
How do I look? Do I look good?
I want to play hard.
My nails done once a month.
I want
a home. I just want a home. I want someone to love.
Last year, more than 30,000 companion animals came to us without homes. 20,000 of them were felines. Let's make some homes together.
Choosing them.
I'm encouraged to keep on, determined to be strong when everything seems crazy. It's your love that saves me. You alone are worthy, only you deserve it. My heart, my mind, my soul, my life. We gon' run, we gon' dance, we gon' sing.
Welcome back to the Lavonne Nichols Show. And so while we're coming back to the commercial, from the commercial break, I hope you enjoyed a few seconds of Lamont Sanders' new single, Whatever It Takes. It is an amazing song, and it's one of those things I have to admit that I actually added it to my playlist because it was like popping that much. I was like, oh yes, this is good. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. We will play a little bit more of it. But this single, Whatever It Takes, where did that come from?
Well, I would like to say I wrote it, but I didn't.
Okay.
Some friends of mine wrote that record, and it actually, they told me.
Tell who's the friends?
Well, some friends out of Los Angeles, Gerald and Tammy Haddon.
Yeah.
And
let's not forget them. They doing their thing. Awesome.
Yeah,
awesome writers.
yeah. They're awesome. But when I heard the record, they told me it was an old record.
Really?
So it was written already for, I forgot the young man who won Sunday's Best. He had already.
Joshua Rogers?
No. He'd already demoed it. But when I heard it, I'm like, I've been wanting to say that. Because a lot of times when you go to churches and people may see me live, and I don't know what they went through.
Right.
But for what I have been through with my career and with my personal life, when I give God praise, it's a personal situation. Like, I'm not really into religion or tradition.
Right.
But I would just be like really sometimes like over the top. People would be like, it don't take all that. Like, yo, you don't know what I've been through.
Right.
So when I heard that, whatever it takes, we're gonna praise you, I'm like, that's what I wanna say.
Right.
Can we do that?
Right.
And he was like, you like this song? I'm like, yeah. So we did it, and I mean, it's on radio and it's doing its numbers, and I mean, to God be the glory,
It's an awesome track.
Thank you so much.
You talked about you've been through a lot. Like, what are some of the things that you have been through, or more so, what were some of the moments that have changed you and made you the artist that you are now?
Well, interesting, because I often get asked what makes me different from other Christian artists. And it has to be my testimony. I didn't really have the opportunity to get through life as clean as everyone else.
Yeah.
And when I journeyed through the R&B industry, a lot came along with that lifestyle.
Right.
And then I got in trouble with the law, because you start believing that you're above the law, you start believing that, you can do whatever you want, and I got into some trouble, and, it was just like such a learning experience for me. But
was there a significant thing getting in trouble that really was like, I'm not invincible?
No, just a knucklehead. I mean, I got into some some gangbangs with a few people, and did some things that it's funny. It's like an outer body experience.
Right.
You know, I never thought, especially being raised in a church family and growing up in the church. Some things I just was like, you know, almost like I lost who I was. You know, so.
Right.
You know, a lot of things that I'm not proud of, but I'm proud of my story.
Yeah.
I'm proud of where it brought me. You know what I'm saying? I joke with some of my friends, and it's like, you know, if I knew I was going to clean up like this, you know, God is great. You know what I'm saying?
He really is, and I wanted to elaborate just and thank you for just sharing a little bit about that, because I am a believer. You guys know that, and sometimes people see where you are now, and they don't realize all the things that you've been through, and I want people to understand, wherever you are right now, you might be in your season of, hey, God's trying to get your attention, or you're going through your knucklehead stage, or maybe you're doing some things that are not beneficial to your life, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is, a great story that you can then share with other people to inspire them, and that's what Lamont is doing now. And so thank you for, just elaborating, on that part. And so you decided, no, that's not the life for me.
Right.
Basically, and
right.
decided to say, okay, well, what?
I mean, trust me, to this day, and I tell anyone, I'm not a perfect person. And it's not about being perfect. When we're perfect, we're out of here. You know what I'm saying? Every day we wake up with new grace, new mercy. But it's about being conscious of trying to be a better person. Right. So I've kind of learned how to stay in a positive energy. Those who people who even may rub me the wrong way, I really have to exclude you and I.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like I got to keep a peace in my life, and that's what it's really about, and about pleasing God. Because if I'm not pleasing Him, when it's all said and done, it's a personal relationship between He and I. It's not about the church. It's not about church folk. And you know what? The greatest gift, I believe, or lesson, should I say, I was learned, was that when I did the R&B, how the church folk ostracized me.
Really?
But I appreciate that because it made for real relationship building between me and God.
Yeah,
you know what
I had a similar experience, and that's when I was like, you know what? This really is just about me and God.
Right.
And it did strengthen me as well, so I completely understand.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you a question, because you still have a lot of friends in the R&B world. How do you shine your light with them now? We're not, do you preach to them? You tell me how you interact. How's your relationships with them now?
Well, it's hilarious because we don't really preach to them.
Right.
We just have regular dialogue.
Yeah.
And I actually like talking to men, some of my homies that we can have a conversation, certain conversations you can have in a room full of men and women, and then as soon as the women leave the room, the men may say something, but you still got to hold to your faith.
Yeah.
Like I was with my barber today, and we were just having a nice conversation, and my barber's like, so, the ladies, and I'm like, yeah, they exist. And the Bible says, yield not to temptation.
Right.
Never said you wouldn't be tempted, but we're to yield.
Right.
So, just a regular conversation, not really preaching, just, we just kind of busted up,
So still shining your light, but interacting and having a good time and just dialogue.
Right.
Nothing different.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to ever, think that being a Christian means you're special and all these things. It just means you have a light that you want to shine and share it with the world.
Right. And it doesn't mean life gets easier.
Right. It doesn't. It just means you have support.
Right.
And so Whatever It Takes is a single on your album. What's the name of your album? And tell us who, you collaborated with, who else is on the album.
Well, the album, the name of the album is He's a Keeper. I work with Johnny Smith Smurf.
Okay.
That's my man. I work with my man. I grew up with Dana Saray. I mean, the list goes on. These guys, you're talking about relationships, right. and the greatest part about this, working with them, was that there had been a gap in our association due to music challenges. I was away, doing what I was doing with my music. They were away doing their music. And when God called me for this time, I didn't know who was going to produce the album. I didn't know who was going to write on the album.
Right.
And when I tell you, like, he kind of just orchestrated it.
Yeah.
And not only that, it was before that I didn't want to be a solo artist. I was singing in a group.
Really?
And it wasn't until I told him, all right, God, I mean,
All right, I guess.
I guess, As soon as I said yes, it was like, phone started ringing. Yo, you just work on the record. Yo, you. I'm like, God, is that you? I mean, he's amazing. So you know, that's how it worked out.
Okay, so tell me some of the other songs that are on the album. Whatever It Takes, that's a hit. But what other songs and what other things can people expect from you on this album?
This album is my baby.
Really?
I gotta tell you, it's my baby. It has everything. When I say everything, I mean it has something for everyone. I did a quartet record. I never thought I would sing quartet. I did a churchy song for the church.
Right.
But for the most part, you're gonna get everything on this. Like this is an album that you could play Monday through Monday. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And your grandma could play it, your nephews. I tested on different audiences.
Right.
And this record is for everybody. It's funny. I call it street gospel, but I definitely want to get it to the person who feels as though God has given up on them. It's definitely a personal relationship. And one of my favorite songs is Keeper.
Keeper.
And
Tell us what is that about?
Oh man, Keeper.
I think I have a clue, but.
Keeper. I didn't write Keeper.
Okay.
Excuse me. But when I heard the words, I was like, you sure that's not my life? It sounded like my life, and I didn't write it. But the song, He's a Keeper. God, he kept me in spite of me, you know?
Yeah.
All that I had went through, all that I've been through, even every day when I wake up and he gives me new grace, new mercy. Tomorrow, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. If he gives me another day to breathe, it's because he kept me.
Yeah.
It's not that I've done something so great. He just decided, I'm gonna give you another day to do something, you know, and let people know about me, so.
Awesome. So, Keeper is one that you guys need to be listening to, Whatever It Takes. Did you say something about Faithful, or is that something?
Fit in.
Fit in. Tell us about that one.
Lord have mercy. Fit in is just that, like, you know, you know.
But you can't fit in.
You can't. And as a matter of fact, he didn't design for any of us to fit in.
Yeah.
And that's the funny part. I would go to church and feel like, okay, which crowd do you get in?
Right.
He talks about cliques.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be in cliques.
Yeah.
Then I would go hang out with a certain audience over here, and then they're drinking and smoking. And I don't even look right doing that. It was like, well, God, where do you want me to be? So that Fit In record, I'm telling you, that thing speaks to me. Even now, you know, this industry is hilarious.
It is.
And I still don't fit in.
And we're not supposed to. You know, I don't think that we're really supposed to necessarily fit in. We're supposed to help people and have friends and all that. I don't think we're necessarily supposed to fit in. And so let's take that a step further. So there's a young woman, there's a young man out there that wants to do music, has, you know, a song in their heart, and they're eager to get out there. What would you say to them? How would you tell them to get into the industry, or especially the gospel industry?
I would tell them to find their assignment given from God.
Yeah.
Don't look to get into the industry. Make the industry come to you.
All right. Let me tell you, that could preach at a worship conference.
Yeah, don't look to get into it because it's nothing to get into. And he said, if I be lifted up from the earth, I'll draw all men. So just concentrate on being and doing what he called you to be. You know, if it's a message, if it's a song, speak through that song. You know, I had a great opportunity to sit with Jonathan McReynolds one day. And he oh my goodness! When I tell you I'm going for him for Stellas, I want him to win everything. But he made a comment that he would go sing at a concert on the same bill as Hezekiah Walker, or you know Ty, and he said they would shout the church.
Right.
He said, and I get up with my little guitar, and people wouldn't move. He said, but God was using his ministry to speak to them after, when they drove home. He was the way his ministry was set up was different than theirs.
It's like a piercing voice that he has, and an anointing, and you have that same anointing.
Oh, praise God.
And I'm so honored to have you on our show. I hope that my guests got something out of it. I know I did, and so that's my whole goal. I hope that you got something out of this. Lamont, tell the audience where they can find your music, how they can get in touch with you.
You can follow me on any social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Lamont Sanders, or my website, lamontsanders.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And so we're going to close out this episode with more from his new single, Whatever It Takes. Make sure you guys stay tuned, and stay tuned enough that you come back next week to see what's going to be on the Lavonne Nichols Show. Thank you for watching.
Lift our hands, whatever it takes, yeah. Whatever it takes, yeah. We gon' scream, we gon' shout, can't hold it in, gotta let it out. Whatever it takes, yeah. Whatever it takes, yeah. It's because of grace that I'm alive today. You could've left me hopeless, but instead I'm so blessed. I owe you everything. All I have to bring is my mouth, my hands, my song, my day. We gon' run, we gon' dance, we gon' praise, lift our hands, whatever it takes, yeah. Whatever it takes, yeah. We gon' scream, we gon' shout, let it go, gotta let it out. Whatever it takes, whatever it takes. If it takes letting go of my friends, I'm letting you know that I'm willing. Whatever it takes, yeah. Whatever it takes, yeah.
Medicare coverage can be a very confusing and complicated process. Help is just a phone call away. 856-226-4800. As a licensed insurance agent, I'll assist you in making an informed and confident decision on a Medicare plan that meets your needs, lifestyle, and budget. Call me today for a free, no obligation Medicare benefits consultation. 856-226-4800.
Boardwalks built for fun. Legendary rock and roll clubs.
This is how we do it.
Casinos by the ocean.
Hippity hop.
Now that's New Jersey. 130 miles of beautiful beaches, solid rock, and everything in between.
Look in the window.
Now that's New Jersey.
Burlington County College.
Is now Rowan College at Burlington County.
Still the same great faculty.
At a community college ranked top 50 in the nation.
Basically, we earn more and pay less.
RCBC students are accepted at Rowan University after graduation and get a bachelor's degree for around $30,000.
Online and Mount Laurel students get a 15% Rowan University tuition discount.
And have many scholarship opportunities.
So you earn more and pay even less.
Rowan College at Burlington County.
Your path to success.
They are the greatest fighting force the world has ever seen. But what does it take to strengthen our service members? What does it take to let them know that we stand behind them, wherever they are? What does it take to bridge the distance and keep them connected to family, home, and country? And what does it take to prepare them for their future when their service to the nation is complete? What does it take to strengthen our service members so they can be the greatest force for good in the world? It takes a force. Be a force behind the forces. Share a message today at force.uso.org.
I want to be a contender. I want a warm belly to sleep on.
A big house. How do I look? Do I look good?
I want to play hard.
My nails done once a month.
I want.
I want.
I want a home.
I just want a home. I want someone to love.
Last year, more than 30,000 companion animals came to us without homes. 20,000 of them were felines. Let's make some homes together.